Hello, good evening, and welcome to today's episode of Leadership Satsang. I'm Leadership Kapoor. This week, those persons have become who have taught us how to write, to understand, add numbers, how to travel the world and understand the different cultures and nuances of this world and the relationships that we enjoy. So many things we learn from our teachers, isn't it? As much as our parents are our first teachers and always will be, there are so many other teachers that we meet in our life. And most of them at the start of our life, which is the school and then the college days that you and I have experienced. This is the Teachers' Week, as we call it. So I thought it'll be very important to see how teachers and teaching can teach us more about leadership. And hence the topic today. The topic is leadership lessons no teacher ever told you. I know this is intriguing. And trust me, it is not just like a clickbait. There are a few things that teachers have not taught us. As much as they've done their best to teach us, as much as they could, as much as they knew, there are a few things which we can look as some, in a way, a kind of a limitation when it comes to teaching as a profession. What are those things will be presented to you in a short while. Before we do that, we will do what we always do, and that is to bring ourselves into this very moment completely. I want you to take these satsang sessions as a little pit stop. It's just the half an hour, 15, 20 minutes that we spend together, but this is enough for a pit stop. Even a Formula One car needs a pit stop, right? When they refuel, change the tires, and quickly give a makeover to the car for the next few laps. Sometimes in our life, we completely miss out on these pit stops. We feel that if we stop and breathe, it will be a waste of time. And if that's how you've been feeling, you will start experiencing more anxiety, more overwhelm, maybe at one point, even a stage of burnout. And I really don't want that for you. So, for that reason, I want you to remind yourself of the fact that if the best engine requires a pit stop, you need it too. Everyone does. We need to stop and breathe. Create those little moments in our day every day when we can just be. And one such moment we all create together here every Tuesday in our satsang sessions. Isn't it? Does it help you? Is it useful to just chant together, even if you do it once every week with me here in satsang? Do you think it has started helping you in some ways? Give it to me in the comments if you feel that it has started growing on you now. Some of you have been very, very regular, and thank you so much for that. You've consistently been following all the satsang sessions. Today is maybe, I think, 130th or 33rd episode, and there are so many more from before now that you have been a part of. Do you think it has helped to take this pit stop? Has it helped you to take a little break from the madness of life and from the action of the day and just sit back and be? Closing your eyes, chanting, deep breathing, just for a few minutes. Has it helped? Has it been useful? Give me useful in the chat if you think it's been useful for you. Welcome, Emocha. That's the Musty Chess Center. You see, there is a chess champion, is creating chess champions. I'm so proud of people like him who, despite being a mentor to so many, never forgets to be a mentee as well. Right? So fantastic. So good to have you as a part of my tribe and so many more people like Emocha. So thank you for being you and thank you for giving yourself this pit stop. With that, let's pause and connect with ourselves. I would invite you to please close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. And for a moment, let's just forget everything that's happened in the day, good or bad. What's done is done. What needs to be done will be done. But what we have to do now is to be here, right now, in this very moment. As you close your eyes, quickly scan your body and see, is there any stiffness anywhere? Let it go. Let it go. And bring in absolute ease in your body. See if you can Put your feet on the ground. See if you can place them on the ground gently. Connect with Mother Earth and complete this circle of energy, this loop of energy. Completely relax. It's all okay. You're okay. And this moment is just as perfect as it needs to be. Take another deep breath in and breathe out. And with the next breath, we'll chant Om 5 times. I'll keep the count for you. When we breathe out, we exhale, we chant Om, creating the vibrations within. And in that gap between the two chants is when you feel those vibrations. Take a nice deep breath in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And whenever you're ready, please rub your palms together and gently place them on your eyes, on your face, your ears, your neck, and your entire body, and slowly come back. Let's come back and tell me which part of the world are you connecting from today? Ritesh, Indiran, Soumya, Tanya, Imocha, which part of the world are you connecting from today? And are you here 100%? So give me 100% from Bangalore, 100% from Nepal, 100% from Mumbai, or wherever you are today. Let's have that in the comments, please, so that I can welcome you all once again to today's Leadership Satsang, where I want to share with you what's that one thing that no teacher ever told you about leadership. So before I answer that, and in fact, there are 3 things that I will share with you. I'm curious to know, who was your favorite teacher? Right? What subject did he or she teach? What subject did you enjoy the most in school because that teacher who was teaching that subject was your favorite? Isn't it true that when you like the teacher, you also enjoy that subject a little better? And the reverse is true as well. When you don't enjoy a particular subject, one of the many reasons for that is the teacher. isn't it? I remember for me, history was that subject. I never quite enjoyed history because I was always very scared of my history teacher. She was way too direct. And, I remember my English was really, really bad in school. And I wasn't so fluent, is what I mean. And she was very well versed with the language. And I felt very judged because of that in the class. And instead of answering my history questions, she would often comment on my grammatic mistakes, and she would put me up for the language, right? And that, like really affected my confidence, and of course my interest in the subject as well. That dipped big time. I, in fact, used to do everything I could do attending the class, because I would feel a little humiliated when she would pull me up for English language. And with that, just stopped asking questions. And when you stop asking questions, your doubts are not clear, then it all starts adding up to your scores. And you know how it is, right? It shows in your performance for that subject. And so it started going down, down, down south, down south. It was going way down south. And that's when I decided I need to bring it back. And that's not the kind of scores I was comfortable with myself. So I indulged in a lot of self-study. At that time, my parents could never approve of tuitions. They had this mindset that if you take extra classes or tuitions, then you're not a bright student. Only dull children need tuitions, right? In today's time, every child goes for these extra classes, and tuition is a given. But when I was growing up, back in school, tuition was the last resort. I mean, you had to admit to your parents that you are a terrible student and you need assistance, and that's when maybe you could get tuition. So in my entire schooling, I never had tuitions except for 12th grade, because that's when everything is on the line. And so my parents found merit in allowing me to take tuition. So I did self-study. And to my surprise, I scored the highest in history in 10th grade when it mattered. Ninth was not good at all. But 10th is when I really got back. I pulled up my scores. I scored the highest. At that time, it was 88%, which was the highest in the class, and the highest I scored in all the subjects. And now you talk about 88, and it doesn't stand anywhere, because students these days are fighting for every decimal. But yeah, it wasn't that bad a score back then, and thank God for small mercies. What's your story with the teachers? Teachers who have helped you to shape up to be the person you are, teachers who have somewhere caused some level of damage, if that's the word I can use, intentionally, unintentionally. I strongly believe that no teacher wants bad for their students. It's just that they're as human as anybody else. And with their imperfections and sometimes lack of awareness, maybe they don't realize the damage that is sometimes caused, and then it's left to us, and it rightly so, it should be left to us to recover from that and to be able to heal out of that and to take that full charge on our own life, instead of finding reasons to blame other people. But the discussion that I want to have with you today is more in terms of the gratitude that we need to express to maybe not all the teachers, but a few who have helped you to shape your personality, who have helped you to grow in your life. Who are these teachers? That's what I want to see in the chat. Yeah, give it to me in the chat. Who are some of these teachers you would want to say a big thank you to, like a big shout out? In the Teachers Week, 5th of September is when we celebrate them and the occupation, which is still as noble as it always was. Who are some of these teachers you want to say a big, big thank you to? You can mention the subject, you can mention their name if you remember, and I'm sure it will reach out to them. It'll reach out to them, that's for sure. So let's give a big thank you in the comments, please. And as you do that, I want to share with you 3 things that I believe were not taught by teachers, because teachers are trained to give us knowledge, right? And we need that knowledge. And in that phase of our life, we need to acquire that knowledge. We need to assimilate that knowledge. But we realize that leadership demands wisdom and not just knowledge, isn't it? What is the difference between the two? The difference is so important to understand that I have, in fact, put out a separate satsang session on the knowledge versus wisdom, if you remember. Go back to the playlist and you will find the satsang session there on just talking about the difference between the two, because it's really important for us to understand knowledge is what we learn and wisdom is how we apply that learning. And leadership is all about application. If you were to compare two people, one who's better read, better qualified, more degrees to his or her name, and the other who probably doesn't have that kind of qualification, but has learned to apply whatever little they have learned, whether from books or life, you will realize that the leadership qualities we look out for in a person are more in those who apply the knowledge, who are wiser and not just knowledgeable. In fact, I remember a level 5 leader that I identified in City. My first job was somebody who was at a managerial level. And I was assistant manager at that point. He was a level senior to me in a different department. And so we were friends. And therefore, I had the proximity to understand how he functions and how he deals with his team. And let me tell you, the kind of influence he had on the team is something that no title can help you create. It is something you need to create with your own interpersonal skills. It is that trust he had earned from these people, to the extent that when he decided to quit for very good reasons, because he was getting a massive hike in his salary from another organization. And when he decided to quit, the entire team of 7 people quit with him. We'd never seen that before in the bank. And because I know him personally, I can tell you that he did not even try to poach anyone. I can tell you that. He did not have any of those discussions saying, I quit, you quit, I'll get you better salary. Nothing, nothing. In fact, on the contrary, he requested all of them to stay back, hold the fort. And he ensured that he makes them do that for at least a month, month and a half, as long as he could. And after that, anyway, everybody followed him. You see, followers cannot be made to follow. Followers need to have that trust in their leader to be willing to follow. And that happens when you're not just hungry to learn and acquire more knowledge to sound more intelligent, but really have the awareness to realize where you need to apply the knowledge, and the humility to be able to ask for help if you can't apply it the way it should be applied. Put your hand up and ask for help. Ask for more depth of your understanding, and then try again to implement it. That's what leadership stands for. That's who leaders are. Do you agree? Give me agree in the chat. Do you agree that it's important to lead teams with wisdom and not just knowledge? So just say wisdom over knowledge. Let's have wisdom over knowledge in the comments, because with that, you are taking back this learning with you that I don't want you to forget. As much as teachers have given us knowledge, leadership is applied through wisdom. That's the first important lesson I want to share with you all today. The second lesson is that teachers have always corrected our mistakes, isn't it? Do you remember the red pen? In fact, till date, I use red pen only to correct mistakes. Wherever I need to correct my mistakes, when I write something and I need to highlight something as a mistake or, a learning that I have to remind myself of, I use red pen, because it has such an impact on my memory that I remember from school days that all the papers were checked with red ink and the marks were given, and so all that red intervention on your sheet was the corrections that teachers made. And as much as teachers are supposed to do that, they have to correct your mistakes. Leadership requires you to take ownership. Not just make mistakes, but take ownership of the mistakes that are made. Take the responsibility of the mistakes that are made. And as you go higher up, you will have to be willing to accept the mistakes of your team as well. Not to look good, but because you see a reason why you need to do it. Let me tell you this. You don't have to play for the optics to say that, oh, if my team makes a mistake, or, I'm the leader, I'm the boss, it's on me, it's my mistake, my bad. And then somewhere at the back of my head, I'm thinking, but what's my mistake really? Because I didn't do anything wrong. but it makes me look good when I say that, or I'm expected to say that, so I say it, there is no merit in that at all. You know why? Because there is no learning in it for you. So whenever you hear somebody say leaders have to take the ownership, leaders will have to take the responsibility, they will have to be the first person standing in front of their team when things go wrong, you need to ask why. Why? I'll answer that why for you here. Why? Because if you're willing to go a few levels deeper into the same situation, there is a learning waiting for you right there. There is something you could have done or not done to avoid that situation. If not completely, then to some extent. Maybe the way you dealt with Satish is not the same way you should have dealt with Anil, the two people in your team, say for example, right? Maybe you passed a very generic instruction and you expected everyone to grasp it in the same way, and people didn't, and that created communication gap. What I'm trying to tell you is, if I were to go back to my decade-long stint with the corporates as a leader, and I list down things that didn't go well, big or small, I very clearly see what I could have done better. And it's not all my fault. I'm not talking about whose fault it is, right? Who's right, who's wrong. It's not about that. It's about being more mindful of what could be done better. That's it. What could you do better? Be selfish when you ask that question. It's a very selfish and important question to ask, and it's good to be selfish. I always say, if you're selfish with the intent to learn, be selfish. Selfishly think, what is it that I need to learn from this situation? And that's when you will honestly take responsibility for what goes wrong with the team. Then you're not playing optics. Then you're not just doing this to look good. You're doing it because you realize that there is a learning there for you. Make sense? Give me MS in the comments, please, if it makes sense. If it is said to you in a way that maybe was never understood, or in a way that you did not see. And if that's true, I want you to take right ownership, right? Are you willing to take complete ownership? Not just correct mistakes that your team is making, but take complete ownership. Give me complete ownership in the comments, guys, because that's what leaders would do. That's what leaders do. They don't just sit with a red pen. They sit there to understand what is it that they need to do better the next time. That's the power of leadership. Yes, that's the second lesson. Are you ready for the third lesson? Then give me BIO, bring it on in the chat. Can I have bring it on in the chat, please? Yeah, give me bring it on in the chat if you're willing to learn the third important lesson that maybe teachers don't teach us. They've not told us. What they have told us is that it's important to prepare for exams. Remember your examination days when the butterflies would never leave your stomach and you pretty much took them to bed, you slept with those butterflies in your stomach, that nervousness, that anxiety, that last minute revision. I remember, my friends had to literally snatch my notebook off my hands so I could walk into the examination hall. Until the last second, I wanted to peep into the notebook to see what am I missing. Like that last second revision, actually, in my case. You remember those days? Yeah, give me good old days in the chat if you remember those days when there is a stress, everyone's walking outside the examination hall and you're going through the book as if this is this is what will help you to write the entire paper. But there is so much anxiety that you can't leave that notebook till the examination paper is given in your hand. And that's what teachers have always taught us. Prepare for your exams, prepare for the exams. And that's absolutely important. It's absolutely important to prepare. It's important to plan. It's important to be organized. But what they've not taught us, that when it comes to leadership, everything will not be planned. There'll be many unplanned situations that you will have to learn to deal with. And these unplanned situations could be some crisis, it could be a pandemic, it could be an acquisition of your company, it could be downsizing your team because you don't have a choice and the business is not doing well, and suddenly you're told that cut short 3 people from your team. And these are the things, which you don't see coming. It could also be, sometimes a betrayal, a sense of betrayal that you've invested in an employee's training and you've kind of done the knowledge transfer, you've done your bit to help that person come up the curve. And we've all had that experience when this person would just quit for a higher salary or a bigger opportunity. And personally, I kind of felt a little betrayed in those moments. And even as an employee, as an entrepreneur, I've experienced that. I would share my passion with someone who I will bring on board. And in a few months, there have been, one or two people who just decided to move on and they just disappeared, like, completely ghosted. And then, of course, it's not as if you were waiting for them to come back forever. But these experiences kind of teach you that no matter how prepared you think you are for situations in life, there will always be a few situations that will test your patience. It will test your ability to think on your feet, your ability to bounce back. How resilient are you? How quickly can you recover when things don't go as per your plan? That's what leadership is about. Not just restricted to preparing, but also knowing how to deal with the unprepared, the unplanned, the unforeseen, because that's where the real test of leadership lies, isn't it? So, what is the reminder you want to give to yourself as I bring this session to conclusion? What are the three things that you're taking back with you? Are you willing to operate more from wisdom and not just gain knowledge because that sounds cool? Are you willing to take complete ownership and responsibility instead of just correcting the mistakes of people around you who you lead? Are you willing to look at the unannounced, the unprepared, the unplanned with the same zeal with which you deal with the planned stuff, the planned tasks? Are you willing to work on your ability to bounce back, to be able to bring in more resilience in the person that you wish to become, so that when such a situation arises, you're not running helter-skelter. You're not pushed back so drastically and so harsh that you don't know how to come back, right? So it doesn't have to be a hard push. It could be a push, but a push that you know how to recover from, how to bounce back from. Because resilience is something that needs to be worked upon in good days, so that when the days aren't as good, you know how to deal with them. That's what leadership is all about. And maybe that's what are some of the lessons that we learn as we go along this experience of leadership, from one such opportunity to another. Some part of it will come to us on the job, as we call it, as and when the situations arise. But a lot of it needs to be learned proactively, can be learned proactively, such as your understanding of responsibility, such as your ability to bring in resilience in situations, such as your discipline to apply your knowledge. This needs to be done proactively so that when a situation arises, you stand tall as a real leader. And as I conclude, I want to share one last very important lesson, a lesson that teachers don't tell us. Teachers tell us that you're a student till you're in 12th, and then you decide to do some graduation course and you're still a student till you complete your graduation. And then some of us want to study further and we could continue being a student till our post-graduation. But what we don't realize, and teachers don't tell us, is that your avatar of being a student doesn't end with your last certificate. It's when the real learning begins. And that's a very important reminder for us to know that we are and should be a lifelong student. It's only when you can continue to be a student of life can you truly lead other people. As I always say, a good mentor needs to be a mentee forever. A good coach is forever a coachee. Because when your learning stops, your growth stops. And when you stop growing, it becomes almost impossible to help anyone else get to their next level, isn't it? So if you want to be relevant, don't just worry about the new technology that you need to grasp and catch up with. Also be concerned about the person that you're becoming. the gaps that you're identifying in yourself and your leadership abilities? And what is that proactive, conscious learning plan you're putting together to be able to overcome those gaps? I hope I've been able to put out some food for thought as you celebrate the teachers and the contribution they've made to your life. Let's also remember that as a teacher to so many others, as a leader to so many others, we have a long way to go. And this entire journey can be a lot more fun if you look forward to every single day as another opportunity for some more conscious learning. Thank you so much for your participation, for all your energy, for you being here and supporting me week after week after week to bring out more insights in the space of leadership and spirituality. We conclude today's satsang session right here, and I wish you all a very, very happy Teachers' Day, Teachers' Week. Stay as a teacher to a few, and remember to be a student forever. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I will see you next week.